In this video, I'd like to do several examples using a real number line to find the sum of two numbers, each of which that have two digits. So in this example, I want to take 40 and add 80. The number line I'm given only goes up by ones, but I can compensate by putting zeros at the end of each of these numbers to turn them into 10, 20, 30, etc. Now that I've put a zero on the ends of each of these numbers, I now have a number line that goes up by tens, or if you will, down by tens. So to add the numbers 40 and 80, I start at 0. I will move 40 units to the right, counting by tens. 10, 20, 30, and 40. I need to add 80. Because 80 is positive, this means that I have to go 80 more units to the right. My number line won't be sufficient, but I will adjust. You can see with just pencil and paper, you can extend the real number line, as I've done here. Add on the numbers further to the right of the real number line. From 100, I went to 110, 120, 130, and 140. Now I can go back to my problem and notice that I've already went 40 units to the right to represent the number 40. Now I need to add on 80 more units from where I ended off. So starting here and going 80 more units to the right, that would be counting by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. So I end up at the number 120. This tells me if I move 40 units from 0 in the positive direction and then move 80 more units in the positive direction, I will end up at 120, meaning that the sum of 40 and 80 is 120. Now I'd like to do the problem negative 50 being added to negative 60. I will start by representing the number negative 50 on the real number line by starting at 0 and going to the left 50 units. But remember, I've labeled each tick mark 10, so every time I move one tick mark to the left, I will go down by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now I need to add on negative 60. The fact that the 60 is negative means I need to continue in the negative direction. Going 60 more units from where I left off, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 has me extending my real number line one more, but remember each one tick mark represents 10 more units in the negative direction. So if you went 10 more units, for example, negative 80, negative 90, negative 100, you would end up at negative 110. This means that negative 50 adding on a negative 60 gives you the number negative 110. In this example, I am to take positive 50 and add a negative 110. So I'm going to start by going 50 units in the positive direction, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now add to that a negative 110. The fact that it's negative means I need to move to the left 110 units, but remember each space is 10 units, so I will count by tens to the left until I reach 110. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, finally 110. I end up at negative 60. This means that the sum of 50 and negative 110 is negative 60. You can see that we went 50 units to the right, but then 110 units to the left. The fact that I went further left than I did to the right ended us in the negative area here, giving us a negative result. The last example I'd like to do in the video is to take the number negative 80 and add it to 130. I'll start by going 80 units in the negative direction because the 80 was negative, remembering that every space I move represents 10 units, so I will count by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'm now at negative 80. Now I need to add on 130. The fact that it's positive 130 means I need to move to the right 130 units, but remember each space is 10 units, so I will count 130 off by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. We moved 80 units in the negative direction, but then moved more, 130 units, in the positive direction, so we end up with an answer that is positive. This is because the positive number is bigger than the negative number. You should have expected to get a positive answer. In fact, we end up at 50, meaning that the sum of negative 80 and 130 is 50.